I'm in the Dr. Z-Man workshop about to make a gift for one of my friends who also wears some Vibrant Five Fingers. What I'm going to do is make a little wooden barefoot foot about this big and made out of red oak, so hopefully it'll turn out. Don't have high hopes because my woodcraft skill is a little iffy. I did make some pretty cool crosses out of the same wood, but it took me a lot of hours. But that's one downside of using red oak, is it's such a hard wood that it's hard to cut and it's also hard to sand into shape. But I'm going to try it anyway and hopefully it'll turn out nice for my friend. So join me. Come along to the journey. Okay, so this is the rough sketch that I did. And then, because beachheads are prone to mistake, I made and printed out several copies of it. As you can see, I already used one, and as you can see, I definitely needed them because I accidentally ripped the original one in half. So, I'm going to get the jigsaw and start her up. Okay, so what I did was just took some double-sided tape and taped the drawing onto the piece of wood. And now I'm going to take the jigsaw and cut some a bit. Let me put my hearing pro on. Gotta have that. Also gotta have my tunes. Because everybody knows you can't cut wood without having some nice tunes. Oh, that's a fail. This is just a rough cut. Now I have a lot of work with the Dremel tool to get it sanded, shaped, hopefully a little bit more thin than that. It's pretty thick for a necklace. This is going to be quite the laborious task and actually the most time consuming. Especially considering it's a hardwood like red oak. It gives it its strength, but it also makes sanding process a lot more difficult and time consuming. But the finished product is definitely worth it. Hey guys, I'm back from about an hour and a half of straight sanding to Dremel, using the Dremel tool to sand the rough shape, actually a little bit more than rough shape, the like semi-finished shape, but I have to do some fine sanding now. And I think the semi-finished product turned out quite well. As you can see, here's the foot, and you just get the little toes in there. The gaps between the toes turned out a little bit too big, so the toes themselves are pretty small, but the reason for that is because I only had this thing to work with to do the toes, and that was the smallest Dremel bit I had, if that's the right word for it. I tried my Spyderco Resilience, but the red oak proved to be quite the dense wood, and I was just afraid I'd end up cutting my finger off, because that is one sharp blade. And I figured safety first, so I'll just make the toes a little bit smaller and the gaps a little bit bigger. And I'm pretty impressed with the turnout. I like it. I think I could have done better, but it's great for the first try, no messing up, and I think my friend will like it as well. So I'm going to do a little bit more sanding, just to kind of tweak it up and get rid of some of the tool marks. And then I will start the stain process, but I'm probably going to do that tomorrow, considering how it's almost 10 o'clock now. So, actually, never mind, it's only like 8:40, but it feels like 10. Okay, so I decided to burn the inside of the toes to make it a little bit more contrasting, and so you can see them a little bit better. And we don't have a wood burner, so I'm going to try a soldering gun, and I hope it will be fine enough to get in between the toes, and I hope I won't completely ruin my foot. I'm going to try a scrap piece, and I'm going to practice with that a little bit, and then see if it will actually burn. I think it will, actually, but I just need to be extremely careful, because if I mess up, it's definitely going to show. So, alright, let's try it. Okay, so there's some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that the soldering gun was a little bit too big, so it started to risk actually blackening the toes. The good news is I figured out a way to use the soldering gun and a nail to make a more fine burn. At first I tried heating up the nail with the soldering gun and then just putting the nail on it, and that didn't really work because the heat didn't stay. So now I'm going to try doing this. See that little nub sticking out? That is going to heat up and be just long enough that it will burn the wood, but it will not risk burning anything else. I'm going to see if I can find a smaller nail to see if I can get a longer point to be extra safe, but at least I have a working system now. Alright, bye. Okay, so I found a skinnier screw, which gives me a little bit longer reaching. I tested it on my scrap piece. Wow, that conducts. And it seems to work, so I don't think you'll be able to see this. But I'm going to attempt to burn it, hopefully a little bit more fine, and hopefully this wood will not combust in my face, because that nail is conducting a lot of heat. Okay, so this is after I used the nail and the soldering gun, and it seemed to turn out pretty good, actually. As you can see, this side is the side that I tried just the soldering gun, and you can definitely see that it was a little bit too thick, so it burnt some of the toes themselves. But with the nail, it was a lot more precise, and I could get a nice burn in between them just to contrast the toes. And I think it did pretty good. So next step is to stain it, and then drill the hole. Actually, I'm going to drill the hole for the neck now, and then I'm going to stain it. Awesome sauce. Okay, so this is the final product. I stained it, and then I put some beeswax on it to seal it. Then I got some bamboo jute to finish it off, and tied 2 sliding knots so it's adjustable. And to make sure those didn't unfray or unravel, I put some stay free on them. I think the final product turned out pretty good actually. Looks very nice, exceeded my expectations, and I think my friend will like it. Thanks for watching. This is Beachhead, out.